Alright guys, TacticalRab again today. Hope you're doing well and enjoying your day so far. Major dominoes falling in roster mania last night, with Toronto confirming 2 of their changes that they will be making to the team, effectively locking in this Los Angeles Thieves super team roster it seems. But also, what are Cloud9 going to do? Rumours now emerging that Sib is going to stay on the roster, and not only is he going to stay, but he's going to get rid of the guys that seem to be wanting to drop him over the last couple of weeks. They will supposedly go to Gentle Mates, who are taking over the Los Angeles Guerrillas organisation. Loads to get into today. Very much interested to your thoughts in the comments below. Hit the like button if you enjoy. Subscribe if you're new as always, I would greatly appreciate it. First of all, we start with the Los Angeles Thieves confirming 2 major changes last night. Nastie is gone, Kremp is gone as well. These guys no doubt improved a lot during the course of the season. Did a stellar job honestly for the Thieves. Like, if you'd have told many Thieves fans the way the season started, and especially given the budget cuts and everything that they were going to have to take on the roster, that they'd get 4th and 2nds at the 2 biggest events of the season, at least in terms of prize money, that would have been a rather remarkable outcome, and that's what Thieves achieved at the end of the season. So these guys will get, we believe, as we'll see in a second, good opportunities for next season. Kremp, of course, he was up and down. I think Nastie really showed out at the end of the year, especially at the World Cup, and both proved their worth, but both of these guys were in position where if an upgrade was available, Thieves were going to think about it, and, you know, Nastie can't be too mad that it's going to be Scrappy effectively who is going to be coming in as a replacement. And the same story for Kremp, we believe, at least, with, well, HyDra coming in, also, well, Envoy coming in as well, both world champions in their own right. Nastie will be going to Surge, to our understanding. It's going to be aBeZy, Nastie, 04, and probably Hixie on that team. So we now have a reasonably good idea what the majority of rosters in the league are going to be. We don't know what Rocker are doing, really. We'll talk about that slightly more later today. We don't know what Raven are doing, really. But apart from that, we now know pretty much what the idea is for the majority of the teams in this league, as we'll get into right about now, especially on what Cloud9 were going to do. And this was, to me, the big debate of the last few days. What would Cloud9 decide to do? It's quite clear that HyDra's going to go. Jack Etienne was talking a lot about not holding HyDra against his will. And to be fair, if you are Cloud9, you come in, HyDra wants to leave, you sell him, you get some money for him, and he obviously goes to what we believe is going to be the Los Angeles Thieves super team. Look, they've only confirmed so far Nastie and Kremp gone. They've not confirmed JoeDeceives gone. If they were to do that, that locks in the HyDra thing. But as yet, they haven't. They've only pretty much, well, it's not been confirmed as of recording, but Scrap and Envoy also, as we'll see in a second from the Toronto side, were released yesterday. So that part is a done deal. The HyDra thing was a few days after they agreed the Toronto deal. So, you know, maybe that's not absolutely finalized quite as of yet, but I'm pretty sure, to be honest, that it is. So if you're Cloud9, you've got a bit of money to spend, and also it would not have made much sense, in my opinion, if Sib was to go as well. If you're getting rid of HyDra, or if you're selling HyDra, you really have to build around your second best player at that point. And Sib and Insight have been 2 of the only players this roster period to actually announce restricted free agents, both of which might actually end up staying on the team that they're a restricted free agent from, such as is probably the case here with Sib. This was posted on the Reddit yesterday, but these guys on Discord discussing how Sib was at his job, and it's funny about this. If you see a pro in public, you can just ask them stuff and they'll probably tell you the answers. So anyway, he basically said that, yeah, he's probably going to be staying on Cloud9, and Kiz and Skyz will not be there, but he is staying. And then he talked a bit about the Los Angeles Thieves super team as well. So pretty funny stuff, to be honest. And that is the latest rumor, that Sib will be kept on Cloud9 over the duo of Skyz and Kiz, which to me is the way to go. I mean, obviously, the interesting thing for Sib is that these guys were likely instrumental in getting him dropped a few weeks ago. But now the fact that HyDra's gone means that Cloud9 are coming to the decision to actually favour Sib over those 2 guys. So Sib, it seems, is going to get to build the roster to some degree in his own image, and his AR duo is rumoured to be attached. So there's other options, you know, Clay, Slasher is one that I certainly would have thought about, but Sib and Attach, I think they'll get along quite well. And I think from the Sib perspective, he's just been on a Cloud9 team or a New York team all year that he didn't maybe culturally feel like he massively fit into, especially I think from an AR duo perspective. There were questions on that. To me, Sib and Attach will get on very well, and you know, on paper, that's a pretty damn nice AR duo. Sib's pretty aggressive, Attach is pretty slow nowadays. I like the sound of it. Kremp and Nero on the SMGs is interesting for sure, I mean, there is talent there, no doubt. Nero and Kremp both talented players. We've seen it on Boston, of course, not that long ago when these guys are both on that organization. But look, Black Ops 6 is coming around. It's going to be a fast-paced game. It's going to be a pretty chaotic, movement-heavy game, you would well imagine. And these are two players that are, they do make some mistakes at times. They do overchow, and putting them both together on the SMG, maybe there's some questions on that as far as I'm concerned. But that is what Cloud9 are supposedly looking at for their roster, and at least, Sib staying on the team, I think is a big dub for Cloud9, to be perfectly honest. But of course, that means that Skyz and Kiz are going to have to go elsewhere. And the rumor is, of course, they will be going to Gentle Mate, as we shall see here in just a couple of seconds. Just a couple of other things to mention quickly. There are some Black Ops 3 chals probably still going down, actually, as I'm recording this video, to be honest. Dashy was getting involved, Drazah, etc., Blastful as well. And I just tuned in and screenshotted this, so I'm not actually sure who this was, who had changed their name to Cloud9 Kremp, because Kremp was also playing with, this guy, C9 Kremp. So it's probably going to be a thing. The other rumor on this roster, though, is that aBeZy is going to be the head coach. ReeaL is gone. Cinder is likely gone to Los Angeles Thieves, we believe. So aBeZy is going to be stepping in as the coach. So this makes a lot of sense. Now, you can say, oh, it's a friendship team, right? aBeZy head coach, Sib as the AR, Attach, of course, as well, who's great boys with Lamar. But this makes a lot of sense. If you're going to make a friendship team, this is the way to do it, in my opinion. With Lamar as the head coach of the roster, Attach as the main AR, Sib, who, of course, aBeZy played with for some time and successfully at that as, the star player, the flex, whatever. So this just makes a lot of sense, and I actually think that with aBeZy as the head coach, gives me a fair bit more confidence this team might be able to make it work. The question was, though, one of the questions for this offseason, would aBeZy be coaching, if he is going to coach, somewhere else? And it seems like OpTic was an option, and Ronnie says that, yeah, he would have coached the OpTic team, of course, with Kenny and Pred, which he did. And they may never announce this publicly, but Lamar was coaching the OpTic guys, at least in some capacity, in their run-up towards the World Championship in Dallas a couple of months ago. And I think that in terms of their respective skill sets and the way they can work with their players, a coaching duo of aBeZy and Karma would be absolutely ideal. But it seems like due to budget cuts, OpTic aren't going to be able to afford to have aBeZy coaching as well as Karma, basically. So that ain't happening. So Karma and JP are going to stay as the coaching duo over there from a coaching and analyst perspective, and aBeZy is going to go to Cloud9. That is the latest rumor that we are seeing. But let's talk about the next step of this whole situation, which is Toronto confirming something that some people, to be honest, thought that we might never see. Scrappy officially leaving Toronto Ultra ever since he joined on their academy, got the opportunity on the starting roster. It looks like Scrappy would be staying on this team for many years to come, but it's obviously not going to be the case. The budgetary reasons, of course, Scrappy coming to the end of his deal next year and a buyout, we believe, agreed with the Los Angeles Thieves. So a great player for a great organization, but he is going to be moving on to his next step, as is also true, of course, with Envoy, who also was tweeted out, of course, as leaving the team. Obviously, as he says, glad we got a piece of the pie. Madge didn't get more. Toronto's a city I will always be stoked to come back to. Hopefully they run another major next year, as he actually says in this very tweet. But after being synonymous in some respects with the Toronto brand over the last couple of years, Scrappy is gone, Envoy is gone, and for now, Insight and CleanX are going to be staying on that roster, although that may not necessarily be the case for all that much longer. And of course, there is a question on Envoy's strategy in all this, after being on the Los Angeles Thieves, winning the World Championship with them, going to Toronto, bringing Scrap back, and then returning home. So, I'm not sure this was actually part of the plan, but I think the way that it's worked out has been rather beneficial. The other question is, though, what's the rest of that Toronto team going to look like? The latest rumor was something to the effect of Insight, CleanX, Beans, +1, with the +1 potentially being, Hixie, although that might be over to Seattle Surge. So therefore there was talk about ReeaL, although that's not happening. So now maybe JoeDeceives has emerged as a potential target, especially given what Cloud9 seem to be doing and not having JoeDeceives over there. So Adam who says, today we find ourselves at the close of one chapter, start of another. And to be fair to Toronto, whatever they've done over the last few years, they've always tend to have found a way to form something on a reasonable degree of competitiveness. Whether what he says in the replies here is true is a question, because this Los Angeles Thieves fan says, thanks for Scrappy and Envoy, and Adam says, we're going to be a better team than them in 2025. So is this, just delusion speaking? Or are they gonna, do a good job here? And it's also interesting if you're a fan of Toronto, because you're seeing this, and you're seeing, of course, two of your better players, and your absolute star player and rookie of the year last year, and MVP candidate this year in Scrappy, depart to another team, and your owner saying, oh, it don't matter, it don't matter, we're going to form a team that's better than those guys anyway. So it's like, those guys are pretty good. They were on your roster and won championships for Toronto for a good reason. But look, I guess I tip the confidence here from Adam Adamu and the guys on Toronto that are going to put together a very competitive roster, and likely they will find a way to. I mean, historically, Toronto have done quite well with whatever rookie pieces or whatever they've decided to do for their lineup. The question, I guess, is CleanX actually still going to be there? Because the latest theory was, understandably, that, CleanX and Insight are going to stay after all. And therefore, Zach says, Toronto fan, they're staying in Toronto. Thank the Lord, they're going to run it back for the new season. But then CleanX says, are you well, I don't know. The kind of implication would be, are you sure about that type thing? So, and that's the other question. If you're Cloud9 and you're forming this team of Sib and Attach and Accuracy, and of course you've got a bit of money to spend because you've just sold HyDra, is there an argument to say, can you get CleanX off Toronto? Bring him into the Cloud9 team alongside, Crimp maybe, or Nero. Nero and CleanX, I don't really know if I like the sound of that. But I do just get the feeling that this is not over yet in terms of that Toronto situation. And also what's not quite over yet is what's happening on this other team. And to be fair, over the last few days, when I've been going through in my head, okay, let's say Cloud9 keeps Skyz and Kiz and Sib is a free agent, restricted. Where's he going to go? Toronto don't seem to want to buy him out because he's got a buyout. That's a big deal. None of the other organizations are interested. Obviously, either the top organizations that already have their AR set or the bottom organizations that aren't going to pay a buyout anyway. Maybe like a G2 or something for Minnesota Rocker. The only other option that was coming to mind really for Sib, and now for the duo that he's seemingly dropping effectively from the roster that he was with last season, is Gentlemates, formerly the Los Angeles Grillers. And that is one of the big questions right now, and Linz is of course talking about, making a substitution, changing out his organizations, and it seems like that is exactly what is going to be happening, because the latest rumors of yesterday is that Gentlemates, so they are going to come in. This French organization is going to take over the Los Angeles Grillers. Where they're going to be based, what they're going to be called, I don't know. These are still questions that are up in the air at the moment, but they have some resources, right? We're pretty sure they tried to get Scrap and HyDra. That didn't happen, but they can try and do the second best to getting Scrap or HyDra and effectively building a team that effectively won the World Championship a couple of years ago with a very different SMG player. Well, in some ways a rather similar SMG player, but not quite HyDra. So this is the latest rumor that Skyz and Kiz are going to go to Gentlemates, and they are going to be joined by Priestahh, who of course they won the World Championship with and dropped for Sib not that long ago. So it's interesting the debate on this, right? Because Skyz and Kiz effectively getting dropped by Sib, or, them choosing Sib over those guys. Some people have said, oh, well, it kind of serves them right because they did Priestahh dirty the previous offseason, dropping him for Sib, and now they're getting done dirty, as it were. But at the end of the day, they're going back to Priestahh anyway, so seems like he's going to be on the team. And this is effectively the team that won champs in 2023, but instead of HyDra, they're going to sign Linz instead. Another young, talented SMG French player. It makes a lot of sense, especially for a French organization. And of all the guys that I would look to get if I'm Gentlemates, assuming you can't get HyDra, Linz would be top of the list. But still, it's going to be fascinating to watch this, with Marky B and ReeaL supposedly coaching the team as well, because it is that roster with no HyDra. So we're going to get to see on some level how important HyDra was and is to that type of team, whether Linz can become the type of player that they need him to be if they want to, potentially win again, if he can turn into their new HyDra and be at that level. And also whether in the short to medium term, maybe another change is necessary. Maybe they think about a guy like Cobra, bringing him into the lineup or whatever, if they want to change things around further. But that is the current rumor on what is happening with this Gentlemates roster. And as I say, we know to a certain degree at this point exactly what all these teams are going to be, at least the teams that are going to be in contention. We are 90% sure that we know at least 75% of their rosters right now, but very much interested in your thoughts on all of this stuff in the comment section below. ReeaL as well, very much heavily indicating that a move to Gentlemates, M8, whatever they want to say, is coming rather shortly. So very much interested in your thoughts on all this stuff in the comment section below. Hit the like button if you enjoyed, subscribe if you're new, take care, and I'll see you next time.